like it's your first day going to high school or middle school or your first day of fifth grade or whatever video your parents took of you as a kid as you were venturing off to your next chapter. It's what it feels like this time of year when you see these videos of so-and-so showing up to spring training, or this player or executive has arrived at whatever spring training facility, and managers are beginning to meet with the media, and it is our first taste of what is to come in this baseball season. And just before we get to actual spring training games, and before we get to roster cutdown days and roster decisions and putting together a 26-man roster for opening day, we had a big name come off the board in free agency. No, it's not Alex Bregman. He's still out there unsigned. Apparently, a reunion with the Astros off the table, but he's unwilling to take a short-term deal. I wish Alex Bregman the best in his pursuits to try to find that long-term deal. If it wasn't going to happen already, it's not going to all of a sudden happen here in the next couple of weeks, Alex. But I'm not talking about the former Astro third baseman. No, I'm talking about arguably the biggest named reliever left on the market, because this morning we learned that Kenley Jansen had signed a 1-year, $10 million deal to return to California, to return to Southern California. No, he is not rejoining the Los Angeles Dodgers. I understand why you might think that. He's joining the other Southern California team. He is joining the Los Angeles Angels. A 1-year, $10 million deal for one of the most prolific closers in the history of the game, who's going to continue his career with the Angels, going to join the back end of their bullpen. So that's it. David Robertson's the biggest name left, 40-year-old guy who, not sure if you even want to bring him into the fold if he wants to continue playing baseball. That's it. There's not a lot of names left at the top end of the market. None, really. The Diamondbacks are not getting that high-end, back-end reliever that we said should have been on their wish list when the offseason began. We thought they were missing one more high-leverage arm late in games. They had A.J. Puck, who they acquired at last year's deadline to kill two birds with one stone. It was to help the here and now. It was to help their bullpen problems in 2024, to help shore things up so that they didn't give games away as they tried to chase down and hold on to a wild card spot. But it was also with 2025 in mind, because A.J. Puck had team control beyond 2024. It was that rare deal that you can make at the deadline that can help you for a playoff push in 1 year, but then you have that guy for the following year. So they got one. You really want to have three guys at the back end of your bullpen that you trust. You'd like to have a seventh inning guy, an eighth inning guy, a ninth inning guy. You'd like to have three guys that you can interchange for those high leverage scenarios late. The rest of the bullpen's supposed to kind of mix and match and help you bridge to those guys. We don't live in a world now where starters are going deep into games, 7+ innings, where you really just need a setup man and a closer. You need a three-headed monster. A.J. Puck, one part of that three-headed monster. The second part of that three-headed monster, the person who in my mind is the heir apparent to be the closer of this team long-term, that being Justin Martinez. But the command issues, he's on the younger side. Does he have the experience? Do you want to thrust him directly into ninth inning, high leverage situations? Because during the year, it'll be the ninth inning, but come late in the season, come hopefully the playoffs, it's going to be, hey, sixth inning, 2 men on, 1 man out. We have a 1-run lead. This is the most important spot of the game. Justin, you're going in there. Do you feel comfortable asking him to do that? Or do you feel comfortable having him as the 7th or 8th inning guy setting up for the other two guys? He's a part of the three-headed monster. You just don't know if he is the lead dog. So we thought they needed the third piece. We thought they might look for that piece that could be the ninth inning guy, to allow A.J. Puck to be your seventh inning guy, to be that lefty. Justin Martinez could be your eighth inning guy, the bridge to set things up for the closer. Could it have been a Kirby Yates? Could it have been a Tanner Scott if his market wasn't the Dodgers throwing $18 million a year at him? Was there somebody available via trade in the early part of the winter that they could have gotten? That's the way we frame this all offseason long, is adding the third piece to the three-headed monster. They're not adding that piece. The third head of this three-headed monster has to come from within. It has to be somebody that is currently on the roster. I will give one caveat. They could still make a trade. There isn't anybody available via free agency, but they could make a trade. If they can find a suitor for Jordan Montgomery to pay down some of that money, they might be able to swing a trade elsewhere to take on some money in the form of a reliever. But right now, let's operate with the roster as is. That their three-headed monster is going to be Justin Martinez, it's going to be A.J. Puck, and it is going to be Ryan Thompson. Is it going to be Kevin Ginkel? Who is going to fill that third head of the three-headed monster? And was it the right decision to leave this up to a camp battle? Well, that depends on if they had a choice here. They are running the highest payroll they have ever run in the history of their franchise. Was there wiggle room to talk to Kirby Yates? Was there wiggle room to talk to Tanner Scott? Was there wiggle room to take on money in a trade for a closer? Did that realistically exist? Or was Corbin Burnes and trading for Josh Naylor, was that kind of the expansion of the budget, and you kind of have to make it work with what you got? It feels like once you signed Corbin Burnes, there wasn't really a lot of extra room to splurge even more. If you could get the Jordan Montgomery money off the books, or at least part of it, that money would have probably been made available to Mike Hazen. Say it was half. Let's say it was $10 million. $10 million to go get a reliever. Kenley Jansen signed for $10 million today. So I don't know if they actively made this choice or if their roster was kind of landlocked to be what it is because of the financial constraints. And again, they are spending the most money that they have ever spent in the history of the franchise. So we cannot say that they didn't spend enough or they have left this hole wide open. They traded for Josh Naylor. They signed Corbin Burnes. They spent money this offseason to improve this roster. So how do we feel about the current group? Well, I'll tell you. Put me in the camp of Justin Martinez being the closer of this team. That stuff, a guy that can throw a sinker 101 miles an hour, I'm sorry, that plays as a big league closer. That plays as the guy you want to get the three most important outs of a game, or the two most important outs in the playoffs, or whatever the situation dictates. That stuff plays at an elite level. He's 23 and a half, so I get the concerns. But when you have elite stuff like that, boy, it's hard for me to not want to put you in that role. So put me in that camp as spring training gets underway. Put me in the camp of Justin Martinez should be the closer of this team. If you want somebody with a little more experience, if you want somebody who's been around the block a couple of times, if you want somebody who's been there, done that, I'm not sure A.J. Puck fits that bill. Former starter, converted to a reliever, hasn't been a reliever for a ton of time, has only been in the big leagues for a little over 4 seasons of service time. Again, started out last year as a starter in Miami before they realized it wasn't working and said, you know what? We're going to move you to the bullpen. Then he was awesome, allowed them to trade him at the deadline and get some pieces back. So maybe it's Kevin Ginkel, who's 30, who has way more relief experience at the big league level than any of these guys. Right now, if you look up and down this bullpen, nobody currently on this team had 10 saves last year. Justin Martinez with 8. A.J. Puck had 3. Kevin Ginkel 5. Ryan Thompson 2. Mantiply, Seth Martinez, and Ryan Nelson all had 1 each. So you're going to go with somebody that has inexperience across the board. And according to Fangraphs, projections have Justin Martinez with 19 saves and A.J. Puck with 16 saves, basically saying, we're not sure. We think this is going to kind of be by a committee thing for a while. But this group needs to be confident. If you are going to keep pace or at least threaten the Dodgers a little bit, if you're going to make this division last into the summertime, you have to have a group that is confident. So they're rolling with Justin Martinez, A.J. Puck, and Kevin Ginkel as their three-headed monster. I hope they're right in their assessment that those three can get it done.